This video is brought to you by my patrons, who are viewers like you. Thank you. I'd like to give a special thanks to A. Cassandra Barker, Charlie M., Dorinda Toner, Eric Danielson, Gundam Bradley, Malpertuis, and Turindo. I really appreciate you. We're here today to talk about Chilla Season 2, released in the spring of 2024. For those just joining us, Chilla is a Bluey copycat made by conservative media outlet The Daily Wire. It was the flagship show of their anti-Disney Plus streaming service for children, Bandcamp. If you'd like my thoughts on Season 1, you can find those in Part 1, linked in the description of this video. Or just go to my channel, it is the pinned video. First, I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for making my first video on Chilla a way bigger success than I was anticipating. I never would have guessed it would reach over 700,000 views in a little over a month, and as of writing, it's well on track to being my most popular video essay ever. Thanks so much. I am so excited to be back. I'd also like to thank those of you who wrote about your own upbringings in the comments. I'm glad I'm not the only one who finds this show strangely disturbing. I had a suspicion while I was working on the first video that it would resonate with some folks, but the response was honestly overwhelming. I hope you all found some catharsis through that video, and I'm hoping this one can do the same. I want to start off with some updates and corrections. For one, I now know that Chum Chum Chilla's catchphrase, "It's Chilla time."
It's Chilla time!
Breakfast time first.
Okay, breakfast time. Then, Chilla time!
Is likely based on the 1980s beer commercial slogan, "It's Miller time."
Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find, Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer. Miller Beer.
As a 2000s baby, this bewildered me and slipped past. It's also impossible to Google what does Chilla time mean, so I appreciate your contributions in the comments. And wow, I was sort of stunned by the sheer amount of nostalgia people have for these commercials. Many woefully lamenting modernity in the comments.
I miss the old commercials that represented just regular people.
Excellent observations, sir. Your keen eye for detail is the mark of a true beer connoisseur. Thank you for enlightening some of our younger, less experienced beer drinkers on this most serious of matters.
Back in the day, and I still have the time.
The champagne of bottled beer.
18 years old, first time buying beer on my own. It was Miller time. 18 years old, first time buying beer on my own. It was Miller time. 18 years old, first time buying beer on my own. It was Miller time.
You should see the look on her face, Lola.
18 years old, first time buying beer on my own. It was Miller time.
Time is the thing.
It was Miller time. Like in the commercial, it was Miller time. Bye.
Last night, I dreamed I was on the Miller train. It was an open-air train that traveled across this long bridge that went along, not across, along the most beautiful river. In the distance, I saw a pier jutting out, and someone in the water on a Miller logo float. There was a tall water tower with the logo too. This song kept playing called I May Like It. No such song, but it was a corny old 70s country trucker song, and I was singing at the top of my lungs. I don't drink beer, and I wasn't having a great night's sleep, but the dream occurred at least twice and was very euphoric. Cheers! Saw you posting and it brought back my dream!
I can see through time.
Just to recap, this is the story of a dad in the 2020s who would himself have been a young man in the 2000s or 2010s, if we're counting by human years, who is frequently quoting a beer commercial from the 1980s. Unfortunately, The Simpsons is perhaps the greatest modern text satirizing the American psyche, so...
When I was 17, I drank some very good beer. I drank some very good beer I purchased with a fake ID. My name was Brian McKee.
For two, that poster in Charla Chilla's bedroom is actually a parody of the Daily Wire's own movie Terror on the Prairie, which I really should have been able to figure out. My friend Jose made a fascinating video about it, link in description. For three, it appears Bandcamp is shutting down. This comes about a year after the Daily Wire announced they were laying off their entire Bent Key staff and hiring a bankruptcy lawyer, so this was a long time coming. It's still up as of writing, and it may stay up for some time, but licensed content is beginning to disappear. Originals like Gus Plus Us have moved to YouTube and Amazon, episodes are reportedly missing from licensed shows like The Clangers, and some users have reported losing support for the platform across various devices. The subreddit is clearly not being moderated. Bizarro anti-Semitic posts debating who really runs Hollywood remain up. I've seen some people saying my video was the nail in the coffin for Bent Key. I don't think it was. Since posting the video, I've heard from several folks who worked on Chilla who could confirm things I'd merely speculated on. Animators from both locations were far from pleased with the content of the show, but felt they had no choice but to work on it or be fired. This led to a tense atmosphere. They were indeed instructed to make the show look and feel as much like Bluey as possible. Regardless of location, I heard over and over again how annoying the show was to work on. Broken and missing assets and rigs, color palette issues that had to be constantly fixed, late nights spent fixing them. Animators were given flat background images that could not be moved apart and interacted with. Then, once animators had made these flat images usable and an episode was far into production, the Daily Wire would often ask for the background to be changed. I repeatedly heard that the Daily Wire was a picky, difficult client, unprepared and unfamiliar with animation, and yet quite demanding. IMDb also lists a season 3, 4, and 5 with episode names. I have no idea why. Maybe these pages are being vandalized by a child or a fan who is a child. It's odd, to say the least. I was also asked many times if Chilla actually sounds like that, or if I did anything to the audio to avoid copyright strikes. I did not alter the audio, but who knows? The finished video does sound slightly different than the episodes posted directly to YouTube, so it could well be that something happened there on my end. In other news, Rob Schneider's divorce was announced the very same day my first video was freed from copyright jail, with his now ex-wife Patricia Azarkoya commenting that the marriage is irretrievably broken and there is no possibility of reconciliation. There have been some rumors that Schneider's descent into right-wing nonsense fueled this divorce, but again, that's just rumors and speculation.
You are a daughter of Rob Schneider.
Yep. I go for like 4 or 5 years without talking to my dad. I put out my record and people finally started asking about my dad. My dad called me and was like, don't fucking talk about me in the press. I was like, get fucked. If I would ever spend a summer with my dad, it would be on a movie set. I would just get lost in the shuffle. If I ever messed up a shot, if I ever was talking, like I would get in fucking trouble.
Did you ever feel like you guys could connect, or it was just more of like...
Not till I was much, much older. I was like a really heavy child. My dad sent me to fat camp. And then I got in trouble one year because I sprained my ankle and I didn't lose any weight. Very toxic and very silly. I had already started getting tattooed and it was like 108 degrees. So I was having to wear sweaters because my dad was like very anti-tattoos or like any form of self-expression that differed from what he wanted. I disagree with a lot of the things that he says.
But here's a little plot twist. Rob Schneider, despite being the star of Season 1, is not in Chilla Season 2. I tried to find out exactly what happened there, but could not. Although, according to Google's AI summary as of writing, and I cannot find the screenshot I took of this, but you'll have to take my word for it, Rob Schneider has not quit Chilla. There is no record of him ever being involved with a show by that name. The show that may be causing confusion is Chipmunk Fun, which does not involve Rob Schneider, or the show Chippendale Rescue Rangers, which he did. Amazing. So cool. I love technology. Are we living in the future yet? For Season 2, as well as the Thanksgiving special I mentioned at the end of my last video, Schneider was replaced by James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank.
Hey, I know those pants.
You may also know Taylor as the voice of Titus in Final Fantasy X, or Obi-Wan Kenobi in various Star Wars Clone Wars media. I will say having an actual voice actor play this role makes him a little more tolerable as a character. Taylor gives a good Schneider impression, sounding remarkably similar to the original Chum Chum Chilla, but he also adds more depth to the role. Schneider Chilla is one note. Taylor Chilla is at least two. Just a quick sidebar because I found this weird and funny. Taylor's Wikipedia page, due to a lack of line breaks, sort of links his Christian faith to a black mold infection he suffered in 2005.
Taylor is a Christian and has discussed his faith on several occasions. He contracted a black mold infection in 2005, which nearly caused him to lose his voice and took almost a year to recover.
Maybe someone on Taylor's team wants to fix that. As for those asking why I didn't get actual Australian voice actors to read lines in the first video, I cannot stress just how shoestring my setup is. I made that video on a laptop and asked a few good friends to contribute their voices. I make less than minimum wage and can barely afford groceries right now. So if you'd like me to hire Australian voice actors for any purpose in future, please consider supporting me on Patreon. The first 10-ish minutes of my next video are already up there. I'm filming some Q&A soon, and overall, I'm trying to curate a fun and peaceful little community. With all that lovely preamble out of the way, let's get started on Season 2.
I am living on Channel V!
I'm gonna start by talking about the third episode of this series and get back to episodes 1 and 2 afterwards, because this one, I think, serves as a real thesis statement. I also recorded some voice memos reacting to the show in real time, so when you hear the microphone switch to this microphone, that's me reacting to the show in real time, ranting into my phone. I kept some of these intact because I felt like I already put it pretty well the first time I watched it, and I didn't feel like I needed to rewrite anything. Thank you. Episode 3, Robinson Chipcrusoe.
Well, Robinson Chipcrusoe, let's find out how impossible it really is. It's Chilla time!
Robinson Chipcrusoe is the worst pun I've ever heard. Not Robinson Chipso, Chippinson Crusoe, even Chilla and Son Crusoe. At least I'm trying. In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about boredom. Somewhere along the way to not Disneyland, the Chilla's car breaks down and Chip, who is always bored and was already bored, gets even more bored. Gee, a road trip episode about boredom. Never seen that before.
This episode of Bluey is called Road Trip.
The literary reference for this episode is Robinson Crusoe. Chip is stranded and has to make the best of it, just like Robinson Crusoe.
I'd like to tell you about Robinson Crusoe, a book about a sailor whose boat crashed on a tropical island and may or may not have worn leaves to cover up.
Uncomfortable, yes, but I do look good in green.
Yes, you do, sweetheart.
What an odd thing to say to your 8-year-old daughter, but of course very in line with the current administration's sexualization of young girls.
You know, it can be given to you by your daughter. You know, your daughter, she has to be of age, like above 6 years old, she's allowed to say.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Saying last year in a Rolling Stone article, yeah, she's really something, and what a beauty that one. If I weren't happily married, and, you know, her father.
My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body. Yeah, she's hot.
Wouldn't have an issue with it then. If they were using her to...
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird! Stop. You know what? You are sick.
Yeah. You know about sexual predators and things like that. Right. I mean...
you are one.
All right, I was going to say that, but it's true.
I think what really bothers me about this comment is that it encourages little girls to think of themselves through the eyes of others first. 8 years old, and you're asking yourself, what do other people think looks good on me? What aesthetic decisions can I be making to gain approval from others? And if a little girl's father is encouraging her to make aesthetic decisions for the approval of others, he's undermining her ability to develop her own self-esteem, her own interests, her own confidence. This becomes like a cardinal sin in MAGA spaces, that a woman should have any kind of aesthetic inclination other than appealing to the men around her. And it is sexualization when you introduce that concept to a child so young. The fact that Charlotte is 8 and she's already aware of it, it's...
Thursday night. You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
I mean, and what do our best colors allegedly do for us, right? I'm a fashion girly, you know, I'm very interested in color. When I started trying to dress well, I stuck to a winter palette because those were the colors everyone always told me I looked great in. But color is, you know, a vehicle for deeply personal symbolism. A person's favorite color, or the colors that they like to wear, these aren't born out of nothing. You may think to yourself, oh, I've always really been drawn to green, but if you have this memory of your father when you were very impressionable telling you, you look great in that.
Uncomfortable, yes, but I do look good in green.
Yes, you do, sweetheart.
It's not very comfortable.
There are more important things than comfort. Self-respect.
And his approval means everything to you. You know, that's a rush of acceptance. And especially with Charla, since she's a character who is frequently ostracized by her family for being uptight, ambitious. Anyways, I think that this sort of comment, you know, to a literal child, green really is your color. It's like a socially acceptable way to reinforce the expectation, and the expectation is subservience.
I'd like to tell you about Robinson Crusoe.
I'd like to tell you about a book. I'd like to dance to you about architecture. I'd like to sculpt you a song. I would absolutely love if Chum Chum Chilla encouraged his kids to crack open a book and get lost in it. Reading is the perfect activity for an afternoon stranded due to a broken down car.
All the thoughts and dreams of people throughout history, and all you need's this little card to borrow them for free. Yeah!
I must admit, I find it difficult to watch a dad who never reads to his kids just go, here's the gist. This is the anti-reading rainbow, or Between the Lions. I want to see Word Girl fight this dad. Speaking of shows for children with a large adult audience, there's this great episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic called Read It and Weep, in which Rainbow Dash, the clique's adventurous jock, learns to love reading.
I so don't read. I'm a world-class athlete. Reading's for eggheads like you, Twilight. No offense, but I am not reading. It's undeniably, unquestionably uncool.
And the message of the episode is this.
I thought reading was just for smart ponies like you.
Rainbow Dash, just because you're athletic doesn't mean you aren't smart. Reading is something every pony can enjoy, if they just give it a try.
Yeah, I get it. I shouldn't knock something until I've tried it.
That's a great message, that the right book exists for everyone. I'm not so sure these kids can read, but either way, Robinson Crusoe is probably a little old for them. I mean, I read it around Charla's age, so maybe not, but I was a weird kid who made it a mission to read all of the classics the school library had. They used to let me spend lunch in there doing that in elementary school. Either way, Robinson Crusoe is a hilarious addition to this show's American canon angle, considering it's British. Often considered the first major novel in the English language, in fact.
How long until the boredom came for me? How long would I last? Stranded, like that guy from that book.
That line is the writers of this show in a nutshell. Although Daniel Defoe is far from my favorite author, and in fact, I'm not a big fan of Robinson Crusoe or really any of his works. To say that it's a novel about boredom, that's not just an understatement, but also fully missing the point. Sure, Robinson Crusoe experiences boredom. But more so, his is the story of an atheist who, through experiencing disenfranchisement, isolation, terror, his own fight for survival, finds God. At first I was puzzled as to why this show, in which the characters pray to a Christian God, would avoid mentioning that part of the text.
Choopy, we'd be honored if you'd say grace for us.
Of course. Heavenly Father, we give thanks for the wonderful tradition of Thanksgiving.
But then I figured it out. The writers can't fully do a Robinson Crusoe episode because he, the character, rejects his father and his middle-class lifestyle in order to go his own way. If Chip and Charla were encouraged to read Daniel Defoe, and therefore the children watching at home, they'd be confronted with the story of a man who initially rejects his family, their wealth, as well as their authority. So it's better they don't read at all. Robinson Crusoe is something they should know about, but never interact with directly. And isn't that just the perfect metaphor for this show's philosophy? While the other family members play Robinson Crusoe, Chip lounges stranded by his dead tablet and tries to maintain his sanity.
I had hoped the warm, comforting glow of my screen could sustain me. But oh, cruel fate. Those hopes were dashed in an instant by a battery of 1%.
In Bluey's road trip, the moral of the story is that it's important to know how to make your own fun.
I'm all out of games, sweetheart.
Oh, but I'm bored.
Look, Bluey, sometimes you're just gonna be bored.
In this one, Dad's just like, thank God we're going to Disneyland, am I right?
I actually had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know you did, bud. Just like Robinson Crusoe. But hopefully, Adventure Island will be even more fun.
Literature is nothing to Chilla, the show, but the vague idea of cultural heritage. But don't worry, you don't need to read it. It's boring. Instead, consume this mindless slop.
Well, you can log your slow deterioration from boredom in a journal, just like Robinson Crusoe. And now it's time for some roadside fun.
And isn't that just what Chum Chum Chilla is doing? Creating games for the consumption of his children while also reinforcing the idea that they shouldn't question anything.
Let's play Catch the Water Bottle.
Sure, why not?
Here you go, catch.
He is rather effectively turning his children into mindless consumers, whether he intends to or not. The kind of people who romanticize old beer commercials. And where are these kids' friends? Who do they get to play with? We technically see them sometimes, but they have no known personalities or interests. The kids play with their parents, not their friends. There is no external tether. There is no community. There is nothing to challenge the authority of the father. My wife said this show gives her that same weird feeling the Cars movies sometimes do when, out of nowhere, there's a haunting shot of a city without people. Chilla is similar, a children's show with very few children in it. Tinfoil hat for this episode. Okay, so this is the heart of what bothers me about this show. Upon reflection, I think it's cartoonishly evil to not want your children, your legacy, to understand the legacy of the human race. It's now so socially acceptable to prevent your children from understanding the context. And I just can't really understand how these people claim to be the arbiters of legacy, history, tradition, when obviously they so just want to tear it all down. And they don't want their children to actually engage with the ideas presented in the classical canon, because even striving to understand what people from other times thought and felt, trying to understand that they too were human beings, would encourage them to develop a level of empathy that is unacceptable to this kind of conservative. I just don't understand why you would even have children. You claim you want them to understand literature, to know about literature. If you disallow them to engage with it themselves, there is no continuity. Right? Your children aren't actually carrying anything forward that they aren't allowed to pick up in the first place. I don't understand. It's such a fascinating neuroses. Anyway, I know you're busy. I know you're practicing. Love you, bye. Episode 1, The Truth. Safe to say Chilla Season 2 has more ominous episode titles than Season 1. In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about justice. The moral of this episode is basically, oh, you want the truth? Take your grievances to the court. It's all about how unimpeachable and just the American judicial system is.
My flower! It's gone! Where did it go? What happened?
He did it! She did it! You did it when you grabbed the hose!
You did it when you blasted the water!
You grabbed it!
Kids, please! I worked really hard to grow this flower. Now whose story am I gonna believe?
Mine!
You like Russia, Mom?
That's not how I remember it.
We're gonna have to figure out what the truth is.
How?
With a little courtroom drama.
What?
Let's have a trial! It's Chilla time!
You may get a kick out of learning that the message of this episode is sort of botched by the court being punitive and unfair.
So, what happened to the flower? Bug ate it. The defense, or whatever I am at this point, rests.
And Mom, we're so sorry about your flower.
I forgive you both. But the jury finds both parties guilty.
What? You what?
I'm working.
The sexism of season 1, which was frequently criticized by myself and critics at the time, gets doubled down on in season 2. This establishing episode for the season really puts its foot down that sexism is good. Like, at one point Chip objects because the court is being nice to Mom.
Objection! Being nice to Mom!
I'll allow it.
Hey, I say that, but I'll also allow it.
And what do women like? Flowers.
I'm gonna water it so it'll grow and be beautiful. And I'm gonna guard it and keep it safe from flower-stealing bad guys.
Of course, the episode also subtly enforces the idea that women and girls love to lie for attention, even under oath.
As I was saying, there I was, innocently watering this beautiful flower in such an innocent way. I was just minding my own business when... Hey, that's too much water! That's not how you do it! He just grabbed the hose right out of my little delicate hands. And then Chip picked up the hose and chewed on it. Water shot everywhere, and the hose must have hit the flower.
So Chip randomly chewed on the hose?
Exactly. That's the truth. So you see, Chip's guilty.
There's also this bit where they try to show off, and I think establish that this season will have better animation than the first, by changing the episode's aspect ratio, which is of course a trick Bluey famously did. Also, too bad you flushed that powdered wig down the toilet in season 1. I guess now you have to wear a mop on your head. Sorry. Hilarious when you consider that the dad later says he's got stashes of costumes hidden around the place. And yes, there is a Ben Franklin episode later in this season. In fact, it's the next episode, and yet he only owns one powdered wig. Chum chum, my guy. How will you possibly have the kids play as multiple founding fathers with only one mop? Tinfoil hat for this episode. This episode is about Title IX and Amber Heard, but I am frankly too mentally exhausted to say more about either subject. Episode 2, all about the Benjamins. Not them making Charla a cellist and gymnast, my two extracurriculars when I was her age.
Oh, Mother. Gymnastics are no longer an interest of mine.
What? Charla, why? No, you love gymnastics.
I once did, but in my wise old age, I've learned that to be really good at something, you have to focus on that one thing. And do only that one thing.
In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about Benjamin Franklin and how he was such a cool guy.
Well, that's it for Chilla time. I hope you learned some things about Benjamin Franklin, Charla.
I did. Actually, I learned a lot about him, because he was so many things.
He sure was. You can go back to practicing your cello now if you want.
I kinda had something else on my schedule first.
Okay, Charla, here we go.
Okay.
Commit all the way through. You did it!
I did it!
Part of Dad's quest to get his kids to love good old Silence Dogwood involves constructing a science experiment that isn't?
Benjamin Franklin, you are a scientist without equal! And flying this kite into that thunderstorm, your most famous experiment, will test if there is an electrical charge inside the clouds.
Which I should be able to test by touching this metal key?
By Jove, you truly are the most sciencey scientist who's ever scienced! Let's begin!
It's fun being scientist Ben Franklin.
This episode was a hard watch for me to the point where I just could not bring myself to debunk it. I'm so sorry. I'll be debunking things later, and I know I already said that, and I'm sure it would have been satisfying, but I have no idea where to start. That episode of The Office where the Water American impersonator is kind of a sex pest to Pam is more historically accurate. Or at least, you'd learn more about Ben Franklin watching it.
You know, Michael, I fathered an illegitimate son.
Really?
But I kept all this from my wife, Deborah. These things only serve to upset the women. They are the gentler sex.
Wow. Ben Franklin, you're really kind of a sleazebag.
At the end of the episode, Charla gives this monologue.
I'm still a musician, but also a gymnast, an artist, and a chef. Actually, a lot of other things too. I've learned that you can't sell yourself short.
Well, this filled me with dread. I mean, look at her mother. That's the only kind of woman Charla will ever be allowed to be. A Stepford wife. This feels particularly apt.
Leave that tray coming. What is that?
The Constitution.
Hey, give back the Constitution. We need that for freedom and stuff. Got it. Give me that. You just do science.
Episode 4, Connect the Stars. In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about constellations and how great they are because they help us remember ancient stories. They're doing like mythopoeticism and 1880s conservatism combined. The stars contain the mysteries of life because God put them there.
Not just some stars. There are pictures in the stars. Pictures that tell stories. A long time ago, the ancient Greeks thought beauty, order, and goodness were so ingrained into the universe, they could see it in the sky. They connected the stars, creating pictures called constellations.
Bunny!
They used the constellations to navigate where they sailed, create their calendar, and even use them to tell stories. Heroic stories, full of adventure and drama and action.
The episode starts with Charla plopping herself down on the couch to watch the latest episode of Dolphins Creek.
There's a new episode of Dolphins Creek out, and nothing's gonna keep me from watching it. Absolutely nothing.
Dolphins Creek, mammals that swim in love.
Guys, come on, it's 2026. Dawson's Creek was a show for teenagers in the 90s. The parents on this show are Dawson's Creek aged, maybe even younger.
First at 8, it's knockouts, makeouts, and stakeouts on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Then at 9, it's hookups, breakups, and makeups on Dawson's Creek.
What do girls like? Boys. Dawson's Creek. The cute boys on Dawson's Creek. So the power goes out and Charlotte is upset, but Chinny just goes, listen to Father. Father always has a plan.
Charla, it'll be fun.
But, what if the power comes back on?
Come on, let's go. A star-studded episode awaits. It's Chilla time!
Dad then sits all the kids down outside, has them look at the sky, and tells them all about constellations. Like Orion, there in his belt, a dragon slayer.
Look, you stinker. See those 3 bright stars right there? That's Orion's belt. Part of Orion, the hunter. There he is, and I have a quest for you, Orion. A dragon terrorizes the skies. You must overcome any obstacle in your way to track down the dragon and slay the vicious beast.
Sure, all right then.
Only, the mythological Orion, to my knowledge, didn't slay dragons. But if any classicists are watching and would like to correct me, feel free. This episode made me feel somber. The only thing these kids can imagine when asked to imagine anything are fuzzy parodies of mid-century archetypes like killer robots.
I am Destructor, the Robo Constellation.
Huh? A robot? Not Destructor the robot. A brand new constellation has appeared.
Their childhood is the childhood of their parents, or rather the half-remembered distant recollections of their parents' childhoods with the edges sanded down. And I suspect it's been that way for a few generations in the Chilla family, or else. Tinfoil hat for this episode. The all-time most beloved and critically acclaimed episode of Bluey is of course Season 2 Episode 26, Sleepy Time, which has an outer space theme / aesthetic. It's one of the ones I showed Zoe and Jose just to give them an impression of the best Bluey could be.
How we feeling?
I'm fine.
I just have to wonder if Chilla made this more elaborate, atmospheric outer space episode because of Sleepy Time. Very odd. Episode 5, The Snow K Corral.
Now what in the hell is this?
Well, that's Faust. He's gonna make a deal with the devil.
In this episode, Dad moderates a game / lesson about standing your ground, as Wyatt Earp.
Gather round, folks, and hear the tale of Wyatt Earp.
Isn't Tombstone so cool? See? We made a show that works both for kids and adults. Never mind that Tombstone is a rather homoerotic film about the horrors of gun violence and the importance of gun control.
Cattle drovers turn cow towns into armed camps with murder rates higher than those of modern-day New York or Los Angeles. Out of this chaos comes legendary lawman Wyatt Earp, retiring his badge and gun to start a peaceful life with his family.
Here, Bill. Keepsake.
Hang it over the bar.
Just leave that shotgun. Leave it.
Thank you.
We are growing to be as big as San Francisco in a few years and just as sophisticated.
You son of a bitch!
It's very cosmopolitan.
Afraid I'll have to have those guns. I'm sorry, boys. I gotta take you before Judge Spicer. Hand him over.
Prettiest man I ever saw.
We are now to do our country loss. But if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor.
He's got some nerve, I'll say that. What do you think there, Billy Neely?
Today shall be my
I think he's wonderful.
Nobody's saying you can't own a gun. Nobody's even saying you can't carry a gun. All we're saying is you can't carry a gun in town.
I see them on the street in Doc Hollow. I'm gonna send them to hell on a shutter. You tell them that.
Pick these guns up.
They're carrying guns, Wyatt.
You want to risk all that over a misdemeanor?
You're damn right I'll risk it. They're breaking the law.
You tried to bring something fine into your ugly world and you shot him for it.
Billy, where are you going?
I'm not going with you.
Billy? Billy, get back here!
I'm sorry, sir, but we got to have some law.
Billy!
Big fan myself, but I digress. I can't keep lamenting every time these writers aren't good readers, and Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday were historical figures, not just movie characters, so I have to extend a bit of leniency. Sure, maybe this is purely ahistorical. It's not, though. It's really not.
So, Wild Chip Earp kept the peace and helped those folks in need.
So, at the playground, there are these bullies who are bothering the Chilla children. The bullies say the Chillas can't play with them because the playground belongs to them.
Hey, look! The little pipsqueak thinks you can use my swing set.
She must be new here. Yeah.
The Chillas, in response, go to their parents for help, and the parents are like, "We can't help you. It's time for you to learn to stand your ground." You know, like Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday.
Hey, Dad, maybe you could step in here?
But I ain't the sheriff in these parts. Happy to have a sheriff like you who can handle it.
Lucky me.
It's all ours now.
Well, I'd argue that bullies preventing you from even being on the playground is a good time to go to your parents for help. When a child has declared the whole playground his, it should be acceptable to ask your mom to talk to his mom about it. But I get it. Sometimes your parents aren't there to help, and you have to learn to navigate situations on your own. But that's not really what the episode is going for. It's more about how important it is for little boys to get into fights. Mommy Chilla even basically says to Daddy Chilla, "Stop crying, boys don't cry."
He gave them the guts to stand up for themselves.
Are you crying? Cowboy narrators don't cry.
Just a bit of trail dust is all, ma'am.
Abhorrent. Explain this then.
Morg. Morg.
Thanks for always being there, Doc.
Wyatt Earp died in Los Angeles in 1929. Among the pallbearers at his funeral were early Western movie stars William S. Hart and Tom Mix. Tom Mix wept.
In conclusion, the Chillas and their friends stand their ground until the bullies step down. Then they agree to play with the bullies on one condition.
You know, y'all are always welcome to play, as long as you could play like gentlemen and ladies.
A, this is really dorky and would never work, sorry. Signed someone who was bullied as a little kid and tried to talk sense into her bullies in a way similar to this. B, don't play like gentlemen or ladies, play like kids. Stop forcing your children to perform their parentification, especially while playing. Playing is like the one time when even well-mannered kids should be allowed to get a little silly and rude and rambunctious. C. The wording of gentlemen or ladies is painfully awkward. Like, they're trying so hard to virtue signal that trans kids aren't allowed on the playground that it destroys the flow of the writing.
It'll be new for us, but playing like gentlemen and ladies sounds like a real hoot.
Tinfoil hat for this episode, I didn't really have one, but at the end of the episode this happens and I really disliked the message it sends. That it's okay to hit each other as long as one of you quote unquote deserved it.
Hey, that's cold. Oh, you deserve that.
Very bleak. Episode 6, Eggstreme Sports. This episode is when it became obvious to me that the target demographic of the show is not children, but rather the boys who trashed Woodstock 99 all grown up. What a bewildering concept.
Now try to move.
Sup, dudes?
Who are you now, Dad?
Dad? I'm not your dad, brah. I'm Aristotle, pioneer of scientific theory. But you can call me Aristotle, brosif, because we're gonna prove whether or not you have to be safe to be extreme. It's Chilla time, boy!
In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about the scientific method. Okay, so the kids get to do extreme sports in the backyard with eggs. Well, Chip does. Charla has to play sports announcer even though she's literally athletic. She's in gymnastics. I couldn't stop cringing at the thought of one of the girls I used to babysit for being forced to play reporter while her brother got to play daredevil. In 10 to 20 years, when she cuts contact with her parents, they will be clueless as to why. I know that extreme sports still exist because I watch like mountain biking, wingsuiting, base jumping videos on TikTok. I know it's bad, I know. I have a need for speed that must sometimes be supplemented digitally. But the term daredevil, it feels quaint and nostalgic to me. I could be totally wrong, but all of this had a ridiculously antiquated air about it, to my eyes.
This is sick! Dude, I love bubble wrap!
What year is it?
1995, remember?
There's this game I've been playing called Tropico 6, which you've probably heard of, and you play as a dictator, and there's an edict you can enforce upon your citizens.
The pace of life is so fast these days, and these new haircuts are too scary for the old folks. There are those who would like a return to more traditional values, and the haircuts that go with them, like the pudding bowl and the back and sides that are short.
This show has that general vibe for sure.
Let's do some stunts.
Once again, this episode's framing discourages children from taking risks in controlled environments. This truly is the anti-Montessori reactionary show. Like you, the parent, are putting the onus on your child to be safe as if the child can safely judge what is safe.
Chip, what are you doing, sweetheart?
Giving away my bike. Don't need it. Ugh, I don't want to be breaking into pieces like all those eggs.
I don't want you broken to pieces either, Chip. When you're extreme, there's always a risk. I wonder if you can make adjustments or safety precautions to stop an egg from cracking at all.
Episode 7, Ninja Time. The non-Euclidean design of this house. It perplexes me. In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about being considerate. The house is a wreck, Mom is exhausted and wants to nap, and Dad's watching TV.
Mama's gonna buy you a billy goat, and if that
Honey, didn't I replace these batteries last week?
Shh, quiet.
Oh, sorry.
He's finally asleep. Oh. But this place is a disaster.
Oh, it's not so bad.
Chubbly is finally down for a nap, but the kids are being so darn loud.
What are you doing?
Hi, Mom. We're playing this game called Everything Makes Noise.
Stop! Your baby brother is finally asleep. Go do this outside.
I just need 10 minutes of me time. Is that too much to ask?
Which, again, is also the premise of a Bluey episode. A very popular Bluey episode.
Right, dinner's in the slow cooker and they've had afternoon tea. I need 20 minutes when no one comes near me.
This seems to me like another conundrum presented by the show that could be fixed with honest communication. Hey, elementary school-aged kids, your baby brother is sleeping. Would it be okay if we had quiet time for a little bit? Seems a reasonable ask. In fact, it makes me question how quiet time isn't already an established routine in this house. I've had multiple friends with younger siblings who talked about how quiet hours in the afternoon helped them fall in love with puzzles, reading, crochet, painting, you name it. I've also certainly babysat for families who do things like take a walk in the park each afternoon, so baby and whichever parent gets up with him in the night can sleep in peace. Dad instead makes Chip and Charla play a game about ninjas. Again, an archetype that was particularly popular with millennials in the 2010s. This episode is, of course, full of unapologetic Orientalism on top of plainly racist stereotypes.
That would not be honorable.
I am so ready to be a ninja. I'm gonna...
Shh! Too noisy. Not ninja honor. Use this knowledge to quiet the foot.
But, say it with me, this show doesn't think children are capable of empathy, maybe because no one who wrote it is all that empathetic. It truly seems to believe that you have to trick children into caring about their baby siblings, whom they treat as basically subhuman.
Where's the net? It's the most important piece. Ugh, Chubbly.
The way Chubbly is treated on this show saddens me. He really is just an obstacle, or at best, cute. Socks barely even talks, but feels like a fully fleshed character, and is pretty much the fandom's favorite kid right now. Babies have personalities and temperaments, likes, dislikes, favorite things, ways of being. Controversial, I know. When I was a baby, my parents say I preferred to be sitting up and looking around the room. When I started eating solid foods, I only really wanted to eat tomatoes and drink tomato juice. I am, in fact, the tomato girl having a tomato girl summer everyone's been complaining about the last few years. But back to Socks for a second. Socks is still very much a puppy. She loves barking, hasn't quite got the hang of walking, and loves chewing on things. When she's a little older, she is shown to be fond of drawing and everything having to do with flowers. She is despondent when her sister and or older cousins don't let her participate in games. She is even the emotional core of the Bluey Christmas special, Veranda Santa.
This episode of Bluey is called Veranda Santa.
Socks, who at that point in the series is too young to understand that being mouthy is generally frowned upon, bites Bluey.
Oh, my teddy bear. Ow! Socks! Dad, Socks bit me!
Socks, listen, we don't bite people, okay? That's not nice.
It wasn't even an accident. It was on purpose for no reason.
Well, look, I've told her off, Bluey.
But she's not even saying sorry.
She's only one. She doesn't know any better yet. We have to teach her. Look, let's just keep playing, okay?
Fine.
Okay. Who wants to be Veranda Santa?
Me.
So Bluey, through playing as Santa, takes her revenge. She gives everyone a gift except little Socks, and Socks, heartbroken to be ostracized, runs out. Bandit and Chili explain to Bluey, who's become quite indignant, that you shouldn't just be kind to others because it earns you Christmas presents from Santa. You should be kind to others because it's the right thing to do.
Bluey, don't worry about whether Santa's going to bring you presents or not, okay?
Why?
Because it's not the reason to be nice to people.
Well, then what's the reason?
Come with us.
Oh.
That's the reason.
So Bluey apologizes to Socks, they make amends, and for the rest of the series, they find ways to play together because they mean something to each other. I am only a few years older than my little sibling. My parents say I wasn't always the nicest to them. At times, I had to be taught how to play with a baby, or tolerate their behavior. But ultimately, I have always loved them, and we have always been close. I have to imagine that's at least in part because my parents always stress that siblings have the opportunity to build some of the strongest bonds between people. So I'm grateful that we have made it to the other side of petty disagreements like this. I really treasure my relationship with my sibling. This is a taxing episode. After Dad finishes giving them quote-unquote ninja training, the kids decide to play Mousetrap, in part because it's classic. Because kids totally care about things being classic.
How about Ant Trap? Quiet, classic,
I'm in.
When they realize Chubbly is sucking on one of the pieces of the game in his sleep, they do a Mission Impossible style chandelier heist. When they pull it off and cheer, Chubbly wakes up and Dad scolds the kids about the importance of being considerate. But here's the thing. If Dad really cared about being considerate to Mom and Baby while they sleep, and his kids struggle to be quiet, maybe he should have kept an eye on them. And didn't the last episode stress the importance of safety? This chandelier heist is a classic case of do not try this at home, kids. Meanwhile, Mom sleeps on the couch. What do women dream about? Why, buying diapers and going to Pilates, of course.
Oh, no, too many things. I've got to buy cereal, buy the diapers, change the oil, go to Pilates.
Total ontological oppression. When Chip and Charla see how exhausted their mother is, they decide to be true ninjas and clean the place up. Because what do women love? A clean house, of course.
Am I dreaming? Everything's clean? The table is set for dinner? Oh, well, where'd you guys come from?
This is the work of true ninjas.
Yeah.
For only they could be so quiet and so considerate.
Well, thank you. You are truly worthy of the ninja name.
And oh, Dad didn't make dinner. He ordered pizza. Men can't cook nutritious meals for their children.
Did you make dinner too?
Pizza's here!
A true ninja knows his limits.
I'll get it.
Ha 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 ha. Episode 8, The Sheriff of Chippingham. In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about how taxes and welfare are bad, using the story of Robin Hood.
It's not right for one person to decide what's fair for everyone else. You're definitely not fair.
Is it derivative of Disney? You bet.
Deciding what's fair for all is my job, for I am the fair and wonderful Prince John, and I hereby pronounce this to be Chilla time!
Where to even begin? My poor Robin Hood obsessed wife gripped her chair so hard watching this that she broke a nail and decided she'd had enough Chilla forever. Misogyny dings. A little boy holding his mother hostage by threat of violence against her flower garden.
Time to pay up!
Oh, Chip, no, that's just a protein bar. It's not.
Does it have chocolate in it?
Maybe. Well, yes, but only because it would taste like wood chips if it didn't. But that doesn't make it okay for you
Hand it over or I'm taking these flowers out.
As you wish, my lord.
Mom is well within her rights to say no, honey. This is a protein bar, not candy. Mommy needs to keep this in her bag. I showed this one to my friends as well. Here's what they thought. They keep saying the book in this episode as if Robin Hood comes from a book.
Oh, yep.
That doesn't happen in the book.
Really, I think they've seen Robin Hood movies and they went, that's based on a book, right?
That includes hornswoggling, candy swoggling, swoggle swoggling. I am officially an ex-swoggler!
I genuinely don't know what that episode was trying to say.
Yeah, what a, genuinely,
I get what it's trying to say.
Yeah,
About,
it's trying to say taxes are bad, socialism bad, whatever.
Also, we don't want kings.
Yeah.
Which isn't really the same thing, but that's kind of where the problems start. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
From the get-go, who decided who got the candy from the very beginning? Obviously, it was the mom. When they went shopping, she decided what the kids get, I guess.
They went to a party.
We're back from the party, dear!
Dad, check out our candy! Yeah!
Ooh, how much candy did you bring me?
None. It's all mine.
Okay, one piece only. Remember, dinner is soon.
Wow. It's so unfair! Charla got way more candy. Look at that pile.
They were given goodie bags at a party.
Okay, then that's on whoever gave the goodie bags out, that they didn't have the same amount of candy in each bag.
And then I was like, was this supposed to be a Halloween episode? But then they decided no, Halloween is too satanic?
Yeah, because even if it were Halloween, you get more candy because, at least the way it is around here, it's less handing out candy and we're here is a bowl, you take what you want out of the bowl. And so if you have less, that's on you. Either because you took fewer pieces or because you went to fewer houses.
Aside from me, the best character in this whole story will be played by Chip, the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Since when is the best character in Robin Hood the sheriff
The Sheriff of Nottingham will enforce my fairness taxes. He will take anything I proclaim unfair, bring it to me, and I shall do with it as I see fit. Yes?
Talk about unfair.
Next, Chilla, the one here with the attitude. You're the greedy thief. You are Robin Hood.
I, Robin Hood, will return to the villagers anything that you have taken.
It is very clearly not a coincidence that they made the daughter, I don't remember her name because I don't, Charla, that they made her Robin Hood, because you'd think that that would make her the main character, and yet somehow they found a way to make her not the main character.
They keep making Chip the main character of the game and then going, don't worry, Charlie, you're the main character of the book, so it's fine.
It's weird because, like, at one point Charla was, like, playing with markers and doing a new thing. It looked like she went on to a new game, but, like, Chip was still playing Robin Hood as the Sheriff of Nottingham. So, like, that little moment right there seemed so weird to me. It's like, he's like, is the game over? And, like, the boys are still playing, though? So, like, now the girls have to play with them again?
Like, Dad doesn't care. Charla, like, shoots her arrow, misses, goes, you know what? I'm just gonna color. I'm gonna go draw something. Goes inside, sets up, is coloring. Brother comes over, goes, taxes, takes all of her art supplies, and then she's, like, forced to rejoin the game and help conclude it. Here's the thing. Every time Chip no longer wants to play and goes off, a parent follows him and is like, what's wrong, Chip? Are you okay? But when Charla is like, I'm gonna stop playing and color instead, it's like, no, you have to keep playing. There's no one ever goes to Charla and is like, what's wrong? Doesn't matter.
Charla has hundreds of fancy crayons, while you only have a few broken bits, mostly brown. Again, I say, unfair!
Even when you're playing a game, maybe don't instill resentment in your son over, like, all of the things that his sister has.
Yeah, it's like all the games are too real. I don't know. It all just feels so mean-spirited. Wow, I feel like there's a place here to have an anecdote about the quote-unquote male loneliness epidemic and how actually loneliness affects all genders relatively equally, and yet it's not like a huge cultural thing, the like female loneliness epidemic. Weird.
Yeah, I want to hear another conversation about how, you know, us creating YouTube stuff, we need to do stuff to service more men, because when we look at our analytics, it's not like it's mostly guys watching political stuff. We need to reach out to them more and baby them more and just powder their bottoms and tell them they're great.
The thing is, I'm really trying to find like some silver lining, something that I think is good. You know, like I feel like with a lot of these things, there is the silver lining of like, well, at least they're, you know, like trying to get kids into literature, but they're not. I mean, like you said, like at no point do they say like, you know, go to the source material. Like they don't do anything to actually spark curiosity in the source material, and like the stories are incoherent, the lessons are bad, like actively bad, they're not well produced, it's not good. There is nothing redeeming about this. Like I was hoping to find something redeeming. I did not see anything redeeming in this.
I would 100% agree. There's also just such an I would say like inattention to detail. On top of the, like, frankly, like, repellent reactionary politics and rhetorics, like, shut up, Mom, we don't need you to tell us what taxes actually do.
Through the power of taxes.
Taxes? What's a taxes?
Taxes are something that pays for roads and schools and...
That would be a whole other Chilla time.
You know, they're like, oh, of course, the littlest member of the family will play Little John, and I'm like, nope, no, that's not...
Chubbly shall be Little John.
But Little's in the name.
Prince John, I have returned with a wagon overflowing with fairness taxes.
Excellent work, Sheriff.
My candy, you've taken all of it.
Oh, I left a few scraps, mostly the sour, sticky ones.
Well, I do like those, but...
But what? Fairness taxes are only fair if they are applied to everyone.
Surrender!
Yeah, like, I don't even know what to say from a, like, literary standpoint, because the whole thing is incoherent and not connected to the reality of the Robin Hood stories. Like, what does it mean?
Fair? I am fair. I am the ruler. I can fairness tax as I please. And it's all fair because I say it's fair. Oh, I found your candy, Sheriff. Oh, you're good.
You, Prince John, are the bad guy in this story.
Sheriff of Nottingham. You can't switch sides.
You know, I couldn't help but think about someone describing this really cool idea of a movie. Like, someone pitched a screenplay, it was bought by a studio, and it was a Robin Hood story told from the perspective of the Sheriff of Nottingham. And it was going to be like this weird sort of police procedural set in, I don't know, the 15th century or whatever, where like the sheriff is trying to track down this thief Robin Hood. And it sounded really cool and interesting. And when you think about it thematically, it shows how we look at cops in the modern day. And why do we like see them as heroes? But if we went back in time, the Sheriff of Nottingham is not the hero. And, you know, there's something there. There's a story to be told with the Sheriff of Nottingham as the main character and say something. This didn't say anything. This is just the Sheriff of Nottingham, I guess, just learning the error of his ways.
But happy to reward the sheriff who took down Prince John.
It treats kids like props. It treats kids like empty vessels. It's gross, and it's manipulative, and it is dangerous to children.
Episode 9, The Cupcake Factory. I mean, even the kitchens of the two shows look eerily similar. What is that, vertical shiplap painted yellow in an American kitchen owned by a Republican family? Well, follow any MAGA influencer doing home renovations on TikTok, all gray modern farmhouse 9 out of 10 times. I think I'm gonna chalk this one up to plagiarism. In this episode, Dad moderates a game/lesson about assembly lines. You see, Charla has been hanging around with Buck Rabbit, the creepy rabbit from part 1.
You like dinosaurs, huh? Come over here. I want to show you something.
Who asked her to make 10 dozen cupcakes for the senior center.
Oh my, something's burning.
I may have promised Mr. Rabbit 10 dozen cupcakes for their senior center event tonight.
Oh, that's nice of you, sweetheart. So, how many have you made?
2.
Sure. It's totally normal to ask a child to make 20 boxes of cupcakes, each containing 6 cupcakes. You see, boys do sports. Girls bake impossible amounts of cupcakes for their friends who are elderly men. If I were Chinny Chilla and I found out a neighbor asked my 8-year-old child to make an industrial amount of cupcakes for a function, I would absolutely not make her bake 10 dozen cupcakes. I would drop off store-bought cupcakes and then have stern words with said neighbor. And hey, maybe don't let your neighbor talk to your child one-on-one on the phone and make her make him promises.
Hello? Charla, it's for you.
Hello?
Hi there, it's Mr. Rabbit. Everyone at the senior center is so excited for the 10 dozen cupcakes you promised to have for us tonight.
Uh-huh. Yep, 10 dozen. By tonight, like I promised.
Great. Bye.
But I digress. Chum Chum turns this into a teaching moment about Henry Ford and industrialization.
Name's Henry Ford, founder of the Ford Motor Company. When folks think of my achievements, they think of my cars.
I don't. Me neither.
But really, my biggest accomplishment was creating the assembly line.
Too bad that.
It was a brand new manufacturing system at the time.
In the end, Charla is capable of making such an unrealistic amount of cupcakes in one afternoon because she and her family form an assembly line with which to get it done. Turns out, I read a lot about Henry Ford as a history major, and I have 2 books to recommend if you'd like to know more about Ford and his motor company. One is Fordlandia, The Rise and Fall of Henry Ford's Forgotten Jungle City by Greg Grandin. It's a classic man v. nature story. You see, in those days, rubber came from rubber trees in the Amazon rainforest. Ford, then the richest man in the world and something of a megalomaniac, wanted his own private supply, so he purchased a bunch of land there and tried to turn it into an all-American company town. But the project failed for numerous reasons, mainly because Ford was racist and self-aggrandizing enough to believe that he could quote-unquote gain control of both the rainforest and its indigenous populations. He failed spectacularly.
Brazilian workers rebelled against Ford's Puritanism, and nature rebelled against industrial regimentation. It was run by incompetent managers who knew little about rubber planting, much less social engineering. Fordlandia in the early days was plagued by vice and knife fights and riots and rebellions. The men Ford sent down to raise his Michigan town knew nothing of planting rubber, much less of creating a sociological experiment deep in the middle of a tropical rainforest. They turned the jungle into a mud hole, and they burnt large swaths of forest without the slightest idea of what they were doing. Brothels and casinos and bars began to sprawl around the periphery of the settlement. When Ford managers tried to shut them down, the local merchants just moved the brothels off to an island on the river that was outside of Ford's jurisdiction. Some old-timer who I spoke to said that they called it the Island of Innocence because nobody was innocent. Rubber is native to the Amazon, which also means that the predators that feed off rubber leaves, the bugs and the blight and the caterpillar and the fungi, are also native to the Amazon. They evolved in tandem. So you can grow plantation rubber in estate rubber in Southeast Asia and South Asia and Africa where the predators aren't native. You can have trees close together. But in the Amazon, it's best to grow them, especially at the time before hybrids were developed, to grow them dispersed. But Ford was Ford, and back in Dearborn, in River Rouge, he famously placed machines closer together than did Chrysler or General Motors in order to save motion. What he effectively did was create a giant incubator, and not once, but over and over and over again. And when the first Fordlandia failed, they pulled up stakes and they moved downriver, and they tried again with the same success or lack of success.
The second book I'd recommend about the Ford Motor Company is Driving Terror: Labor, Violence, and Justice in Cold War Argentina by Dr. Karen Robert. So I've actually decided to play you a not insignificant section of Dr. Robert's interview with the New Books Network podcast, which I've edited slightly for brevity. It's not that I think the writers of Chilla were aware of this history when they dedicated an episode of their children's show to glorifying Ford Motor Company and assembly lines. Henry Ford's assembly line is often glamorized in patriotic American media as this huge accomplishment that made the world a better place.
When Henry Ford cranked up his $1 blow, when Samuel Slater showed us how the factories go, when all the iron and all in coal and steel and Yankee, don't you know they made this country really with mother necessity. And where would we be without the inventions of your progeny?
It's just that I think that notion is worth interrogating, especially given the brazen crimes that have been committed by Ford Motor Company openly on the factory floor. And in general, the idea of industrialization was a net good for the world. You'd have to have a pretty narrow worldview to champion that idea, I feel.
Fordist manufacturing, in other words, the manufacturing system basically developed by Henry Ford I at Ford Motors in Michigan, was based on fast-paced mechanized work, the famous beginnings of the fully integrated assembly line. So it was hard work. And it could be extremely dangerous work because of the pace of the assembly line and because you're moving massive pieces of metal and there are stamping machines. And one reason things get so bad in Argentina is because the global Fordist automotive system goes into crisis. There are pitched labor conflicts in the late 60s and early 70s in these automotive cities as workers very tangibly feel their working conditions get a lot worse. Faster, more dangerous, less secure. So the kinds of crises that were happening in workplaces, for instance, were not unique to Argentina. They were happening, as I said, in many other countries. But the political culture in Argentina had become so violent, so polarized, and so overheated that it just magnified the potential violence associated with these conflicts. Particularly a group called the Argentine Anti-Communist Alliance emerged in 1974 and started assassinating people on the left. The AAA Death Squad started using Ford Falcons in their operations. These dull green Ford Falcons with no marking, so not police cars, not cars with any police insignia on them, became associated with these frightening kidnappings and assassinations. The AAA was kind of folded into the security forces, and the Ford Falcon became the most commonly used, not the exclusive, but the most commonly used vehicle in thousands of such kidnapping operations or disappearances. After the dictatorship ended, human rights investigations revealed that hundreds of such secret detention centers existed across the country. And people were taken there, tortured, interrogated, most of them killed in secret. And when their family members tried to get information about what had happened to them by approaching the police, military officials, going to hospitals and morgues, they were met with a wall of silence. So there was no habeas corpus. All those kinds of basic constitutional guarantees disappeared, and it left a very frightened and paralyzed civilian population. And so the car very quickly transformed in its meaning for anyone who was touched directly or indirectly by these kinds of attacks. Almost immediately, it just became common knowledge that a green Ford Falcon, especially an unmarked green Ford Falcon, could mean, death. One thing that's quite striking about what happened at the Ford Motor Company, we now know from research that's been undertaken over the last 25 years that there was actually a broad attack on industrial labor, and particularly low-level union activists like the men that I follow from Ford, in other words, shop stewards. What was particularly unique at Ford was the attacks began the day of the coup. Now, that's quite remarkable because that didn't happen until 1978 at Mercedes-Benz. About half of these men were seized outside of the factory from their homes by these unidentified assailants who showed up carrying their Ford personnel files with their photographs, which they had obtained from Ford, and they had their home addresses from their Ford personnel files. The other half, including my main protagonist, Pedro Troiani, who is the real leader of the group for many years, they were kidnapped right off the assembly line, right on the grounds of the factory, in full view of their foremen and their supervisors. Pedro and another, 12, were actually not only seized in the factory, they were hooded, their hands were tied with wire, they were paraded up and down the assembly line to frighten their coworkers, and they were detained and tortured within the grounds of the factory itself before being transferred in Ford Falcons and Ford trucks provided by the company to 2 different police stations where they were then held as disappeared. By 2004, they were trying to launch a case against Ford Motor, not just against military authorities, but against Ford Motors for the company's role and collaboration in their disappearances and torture. They tried multiple avenues, legal avenues, to try to get their case heard. But in December of 2018, they won a globally significant case. A federal criminal court, the Federal Criminal Court of San Martin in Argentina, found 2 of their former bosses, 2 former executives at Ford Argentina, and 1 military commander guilty of crimes against humanity for their detentions and torture.
Ford celebra sus primeros 110 años en el país. Podemos repasar nuestros logros, que fueron históricos y muchos. Pero hoy queremos hablar de hoy.
¿Qué cosa más extraña?
Overall, I'm sort of shocked by how overt this episode is with its be a cog, be a cog, be a cog message.
Keep the line moving, everyone! Remember, many paws make light work.
Reward, cupcakes.
Well, now that the job's done, it's time to pay our factory workers. So, who wants cupcakes?
Wow, these kids should form a union. No, wait. Episode 10, The Tale of Potato Chip. In the final episode of Chilla, probably ever, Dad moderates a game/lesson about Paul Bunyan.
From the bravery and hard work that went into shaping this land, tall-tale heroes arose, like me, Paul Bunyan.
I once again ask where this is meant to be set beyond some vague notion of America. You see, Chum Chum tasks Chip with planting potatoes in their garden, and when Chip protests, he frames it as a legendary task.
Now, this backyard is our frontier, and by taming it, we will each be a tall-tale character.
Making every basic task a little boy does into some kind of fabled, heroic action. Yep, that's how we got here.
Not long ago, our land was a wild frontier of trees, rivers, and even more trees.
Ah yes, lots of trees and no people, frontiering in the suburban backyard and inculcating the concept of terra nullius into your children. Is that not the epitome of conservative neuroses? So Dad assigns each Chilla a figure from American folklore to play.
Pew, pew, pew.
And you, my boy, are gonna be my personal favorite.
I'm sorry, is that different from other episodes somehow? Isn't Chip always your favorite?
Johnny Appleseed.
Who?
You get this.
A spaghetti strainer?
Johnny Appleseed was a missionary who became a legend by planting apple seeds all over the Midwest. He wore a tin pot for a hat, but all our pots were dirty. Sorry.
That's it? He planted apple seeds?
Actually, I don't have any apple seeds, but what we do have are some potatoes that need a planting.
So, I'm not even Johnny Appleseed? I'm Potato Chip?
As the descendant of potato farmers, though, I am annoyed by the inaccuracies in the potato growing process shown here. You need to cut potatoes in order to plant them. Conservatives love to say that they speak for the agricultural experience, but I find they often know weirdly little about it. This episode also shows Chip now hangs out with the kids who used to bully him, so either he became a bully himself or his friends are probably not that nice to him. I don't really want to imagine either. This episode also has a song, and no, Laura Osnes does not sing it. The song is credited to Chilla everywhere. The credits of this episode credited to Brett Boyett. It appears he is a film and television composer primarily, and the song is alright, if a little short. Definitely a highlight of the series to me.
Now his daddy tried to get him to plant some squash, but now he wouldn't even discuss it. You can hear the passion mashing from within his chest, 'cause his heart is as big as a russet.
Of course, this series ends with a song about how great Chilla is.
He's the king of the spuds, wears the crown because it fits. He's the best potato farmer that there ever was, and his name is Potato Chip. He's the best potato farmer that there ever was, and his name is Potato Chip.
And that, folks, is the tall tale of Potato Chip, the greatest potato grower of the American frontier.
That's me. Pew pew.
Tinfoil hat for this episode. At one point in the Potato Chip song, there's this animation.
He's farming them now for peace on earth, and they're known throughout the United States.
It's a picture of the Earth. That's just the entire continental USA. America as the entire world. And isn't that just the perfect summation of this entire show in one image? Complete and total myopia. One final question remains on my mind. Why chinchillas? Well, as established, Bluey and her family are blue heeler dogs because Bluey was made for Australian children, and blue heelers are an Australian symbol. Which made me wonder, is plain old xenophobia the reason so many conservatives have an issue with Bluey? Is it some kind of panic response to the paranoid idea of an Australian cultural hegemony?
As I'm sure you remember, in the late 1980s, the U.S. experienced a short-lived infatuation with Australian culture. For some bizarre reason, the Aussies thought this would be a permanent thing. Of course it wasn't.
I know those words, but that sign makes no sense.
Anyway, the Down Under fad fizzled, and the diplomatic climate turned absolutely frosty. Oops, let's pretend we didn't see that.
Either way, the Daily Wire's team could have tried a lot harder to make this show uniquely American. Chinchillas are from the South American Andes. They in no way represent the United States. But isn't that also kind of a hilarious meta-commentary on reactionary paranoia? We'll make our own show to teach kids about America. The main characters, oh, they're not eagles or bison, they're chinchillas. We will never show them doing anything chinchillas do though, so if you're looking for a whimsical dust bath sequence or something like that, forget about it. The setting, don't worry about it. In fact, just ignore that the setting looks remarkably similar to Brisbane rather than Middle America.
He took us off the path. Chubbly, we were almost there. No more interfering, Chubbs. The creek is beautiful.
I learned something cute about chinchillas while making this video. Many are trained to hold on to just about anything handed to them. They have these little tiny paws that are surprisingly good at holding things. That seems to be the key thing, if you will. About the current fascist regime, they depend on suburban Americans holding on to whatever they are handed, no matter how bent. They may not understand the context of what they cling to, but they will cling to what they're given.
A man like Ringo got a great empty hole right through the middle of him. He can never kill enough or steal enough or inflict enough pain to ever fill it.
What does he need?
Revenge.
For what?
Being born.
Lots of people in my comment sections and messages for the past few months have been wondering how a fandom of adults sprung up around Bluey. How did a show for toddlers end up generating so much social media buzz and critical acclaim? Well, Lindsay Ellis recently released a video about Bluey adults and how they ruin everything, and it might just answer some of your questions.
It's a metaphor, you see. And no, I'm not crying, you're crying. But if you're one of those people who's managed to avoid the Bluey wave of the last several years, this is par for the course for an average Bluey episode. They're all about 8 minutes long. They're short, they're succinct, thoughtful explorations of childhood wrapped in whimsy, but also tinged with the added perspective of adulthood and how adults can better connect with children. One could take this as a treatise on the fleeting nature of childhood, on how while you can visit the mythical Rug Island on occasion, you can never really go home again.
Maybe you can come with me.
No, this is my home.
Or perhaps it is simply the embodiment of a more granular truth. That adults ruin everything.
This episode is called Bluey Adults.
So, if you were curious why Bluey adults get so defensive and obsessive, Lindsay's got the perfect video for you. But that video, and most of Lindsay's recent work, is only on Nebula. Nebula is my usual sponsor because I really truly believe in their mission. It's the best place online for thoughtful creators and prestige originals. Nebula is a creator-built platform made possible by smart, weird, utterly introspective creators, like Lindsay, as well as Maggie Mae Fish and Jose, both of whom were in this video. You'll find exclusive videos and originals from all those creators and more. All of that with no ads and early access. Plus, if you sign up with my link, nebula.tv/LolaSebastian, you'll be helping me make more videos. If you like my channel and you'd like me to release videos more often, this is a great way to guarantee that I can pay the rent. With my link, you can get 50% off of an annual subscription for Nebula. That's just $30 a year or $2.5 a month at go.nebula.tv/LolaSebastian. Or why not use my link to give yourself the gift of a lifetime of Nebula for just $300? That's 40% off from the usual $500 for a never-ending supply of Nebula goodness. The platform just keeps expanding, and I can't wait to see where we go next. So why not go find out what the deal with Bluey adults is? Use my link, nebula.tv/LolaSebastian, or scan the QR code on screen. It'll take you straight there. Once again, that's nebula.tv/LolaSebastian.
It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. Oh, I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. But take your time, think a lot. Why think of everything you've got? For you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. How can I try to explain? 'Cause when I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. Whoa, whoa. It's not time to make a change. Just sit down, take it slowly. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. All the times that I've cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. It's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them they know, not me. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go.
So I actually decided to just play you a not insignificant section of Dr. Robert's interview with the New Books Network podcast. Oh my god, I forgot I turned that thing on.